What are we looking at?
Stupid battle droids, get out of the way! Hello there. This is General Grievous, and you are watching Southern Comic Geek.
Roger, roger.
Hey, this is Billy West, and you idiot! If you're not watching Southern Comic Geek. You hear that, Stimpy? Yeah, I heard it. I'm a Northern Comic Geek.
Let me know when you're rolling. The Sword of Omens tells me that you're watching Southern Comic Geek. Thundercats. Ho!
What's up, folks? Southern Comic Geek coming to you live. That's right. And a rarity in that it's 3 days now in a row. Don't know if that's any streak. I doubt that it is. But yeah, so here today, going to be talking about Fan Expo New Orleans, the show previously known as Wizard World New Orleans. And so we are streaming live to YouTube as well as Rumble. If you're not following me on either, please consider giving me a follow, thumbs up, any kind of those signs of appreciation. It would be appreciated. And so before we get into all of this comic book madness, go ahead and do just that if you're not already subscribed or have not already liked the video, and disregard all of the noise, as my children were told to be quiet. That never seems to work, but for putting up with this, we'll go ahead and say that if you're in need of any supplies for your comic book or other collectible, be sure to visit bcwsupplies.com. Use the coupon code SCG at checkout to save yourself 10% on the order. And the link is also in the description of the video. That's right, for all your comic book, whether boxes, boards, and bags, coin holders, record slips, you can visit bcwsupplies.com and use the coupon code SCG to save you some coin. This coupon code was not working, but prior to going live, I was told that it has been fixed. So if you like coffee to go with your comics, visit comicsoncoffee.com. Use the coupon code SCG to save yourself 15% on some good coffee. And they got some good comic brands. The Joker Blueberry is still my favorite. So if you're watching this live or on the rewind, the main thing is that you're watching it, that you took the time out of your busy schedule to watch it, and we appreciate it. So with that, we are talking about Fan Expo New Orleans. And so they do have an awful lot of guests this year. We'll talk about how those are going to pan out and what my plans are for that. As of now, the only person that inside the comic book YouTube community that is going to be there besides me that I know of is Russell, or Whodat Comics is planning to be there. Obviously, he's a little bit closer than I am, but seeing as that this is a con that is not very far from me, generally every year it's about the same time, and it's really before the big con season picks up. It's normally a go-to con. And so if you act right now in the next 9 days, you can also get discounted tickets. So I'm going to drop that link in the chat in case you are interested in going. You're in the within driving distance of New Orleans, and based on what you might see today as to whether or not it's going to be worth your efforts, but go ahead and drop that into the chat. So let me share my screen. So these are the tickets. They, as usual, these Fan Expo shows, you have a 3-day ticket, and you got an ultimate, a VIP, which the VIPs are sold out. Single days, Friday's always the cheaper day, aside from Sunday, and Saturday's always a big day. Hey, what is going on? Mr. Collector was on Mr. Collector's channel just yesterday. Diego says, what, 3 days in a row? Diego, what is going on? Hopefully everything's down well. When I call myself a Southern comic geek, there are people more Southern than I am, and you are one of them. So appreciate both of you for stopping by. Be sure to smash that like button if you have to leave, especially. Don't forget about it. So yeah, this is they got family passes, child passes, and the like. Okay. So let's talk about the guest. Now, generally, when I go to a comic book show, I'm going for, or a comic con, as we call them, I'm generally going for just that, for comics related materials. Now, some people go to shop for comics. I don't typically, especially in the last few years. It seems that the better place to get the better deals are the shops in the area. They're not paying for the big booth prices that Fan Expo, and to be fair, other cons are charging these vendors. I'll, look, generally there's some good dollar bin diving that I can do at these cons. But other than that, like big books, I'm not really looking for any right now. But when I was, I generally was able to get the ones I needed outside of the con at better prices. So the time that I'm at the con, I'm generally focusing on creators, getting the signatures that I like, setting up sketches to maybe pick up the next day, and so forth. But as most people know, these days, celebrities are a bigger part of comic cons. And so I don't know, Pop Culture Expo, I think that's maybe taken inside of Houston. I don't want to get Paul all worked up. But yeah, so these things are more pop culture now than anything. And if that's your vibe, this particular con is going to be a big one. So we're going to start with the celebrity guest because this is their biggest draw this year. Now, the first time I went to this con was in 2019, so prior to the pandemic, and then they canceled in 2020. No, I went in 2020. Yeah, that's what it was. It was January 2020, right before everything just hit the fan. And so, they canceled the next year, it seems like, and then they seemed like they were on their way back. Yeah, not a place to be today. Well, the thing is, where that all happened, I'm not down there, right? So this is the greater New Orleans area. This one's I guess within driving distance to where that went down. But yeah, you're right, Scott. Unfortunately, with the incident that just happened, the would-be killer, or the murderer, I guess, is not too far from where the convention center is. So with that, if you are a Back to the Future fan, you're just going to have like a nerdgasm here, because just about anybody, especially associated with the first film, is there. Even Huey Lewis in the news. Oh, yeah, I don't doubt it. What's up, Kenneth Berg? So even Huey Lewis, not the news, I guess, but the news is that Huey Lewis is going to be there. So yeah, they have got just about anybody. So Michael J. Fox, Huey Lewis, Christopher Lloyd. They've got, let me scroll down. I'll come back to some of these other ones. The guy that played the dad, which I didn't even think was a deal. We talked about this over on Mr. Collector's channel and also here yesterday. Claudia Wells, which was the first Jennifer, the principal, the mayor, the guy that's in the band. Can't remember what she does. And then is it Marty's son? Is that from 2? The mom, Biff, is going to be there. So yeah, I mean, they got a few canceled guests, as you always do, but I think these are all for other stuff, Doctor Who. But yeah, so back to, I mean, you could get like, now you're going to drop some coin, because generally the lesser known celebrities of that, even Huey Lewis, you're talking about 50 to $70. But Michael J. Fox, yeah, your premium autograph, which means they're signing something aside from what deal. Even they charge a bulky premium, which is total BS to me. It's total BS to me, because a signature is a signature. If I'm going to drop that kind of change on somebody signing a deal, and this is no slight to Michael J. Fox, but with his health ailment, it's not going to be a pretty signature. But a premium item listed as the hoverboard, which would be kind of cool. The DeLorean shoes, no Nike shoes are allowed. Flux capacitor, guitar, camcorder, Pepsi bottle, or sports equipment. Then that's a bulky item, and that's $400 for a signature. The premium, like if it's anything like a regular autograph at $250, is the little standard photos, press photos that they give out at these things. So I show up and I bring something, let you save your press photo for somebody else, and you're going to charge me $50 more. Wow. So so be prepared. If you want everybody on there, you're probably going to drop somewhere around $1,000. But if that's your thing, then you certainly are going to have quite the time. So you got Zachary Levi, best known for Shazam, but a couple other things include Marvel Works. Andy Serkis, who's normally precious. Normally, $250 for one autograph. Yeah, that's right. Well, crazy. I mean, and Shatner's usually pretty pricey too. He's at 145 for the photo op, 150 for a collectible, meaning something aside from what he's going to give. DFP 2004, thank you for joining us, says gonna be there myself that Saturday. Hey, well, I'll look for this ugly mug somewhere roaming the aisles. I will probably have my cart. That will be the telltale sign. But yeah, I mean, if Star Trek's your thing, especially the OG Star Trek, and Shatner getting older, he's not going to be around forever. So Heather Locklear done a bunch of stuff back in the day. Anthony Daniels, I think I guess if you count the newer stuff, he's not. But Anthony Daniels of the OG Star Wars stuff is the only one there. Also, if you're a Superman fanboy or girl, there's definitely going to be Smallville. Brandon Roth is going to be there, and some of the newer people from the latest show are going to be there. There's more Smallville representation. You've got a couple of Star Wars, and then Dean Cain from Lois and Clark back in the day. So there's going to be a lot of celebrities there. Facts. So, so celebrities are your thing. You are going to have a heyday. Now let's talk about animation voices, a little more niche. Of course, you saw Ashley Eckstein is going to be there. This guy, the voice of Superman Justice League. I saw the Big Time Collectibles is actually offering a in-house signing, and he is, along with the other Superman in the live actions, Tim Daly included, we're going to be there. So if that's your thing, again, I think Mr. Collector actually got Shamik Moore to sign something for his Miles fetish, but some other people that I'm not familiar with. So you got anime guest. Again, this is like Dragon Ball Z stuff, nothing I'm very familiar with, but you can go to expohq.com /Fan Expo New Orleans to see all this. You can use that link that I dropped in the chat earlier to check out the deal. So let's go to comic creators, the real reason why comic conventions originally existed. Now, I mentioned earlier that it's a little light. That comment might be a little slighted based on my con activity, meaning all of the creators that I've seen before. I get so much signed by certain people, and then I'm kind of tapped out. And going to Heroes Con and Baltimore Con, some of the bigger cons last year, kind of maybe the word is spoiled to some of the bigger names. They do have some bigger names in New Orleans. It's just that I'm not super hyped about them, but they are great names. What's going on, Who Dad? I mentioned Russell earlier, who will also be in attendance down there since he's the homeboy for that area, the greater New Orleans area native for the YouTubes, as it were. Hey, did you manage? I was going to ask you, did you manage to get Yahweh down there? I was picking on Paul last night about some of the places y'all were taking him down there when he was there last year. So we got Stephen Platt, which had when I saw Stephen Platt hit GalaxyCon in Austin last year, I thought, man, I gotta go. Drove all the way to Austin. He wasn't the only one, to be fair, but he was one of the big headliners. I thought, man, this guy just never comes out of the woodwork. Little did I know that he was going to now be on the con circuit because he's starting to do covers again for Marvel, and he is got some kind of deal with Fan Expo. Yeah. Well, that's good. That's good. Certainly don't want a repeat of that. Prayers and thoughts out with the families of those people. So Mitch Gerards, who done art for Strange Adventures, teams up with Tom King. It seems a lot. Will be there. Met him at Fan Expo year before last, maybe. Michael Golden, he's pretty much a con stay at any con you go to, and I'm sure if he's there, Renee will be there as well. Not the conversational sort normally. Freddie Williams, who does he's like Mr. Crossover, right? I mean, he's doing He-Man and Ninja Turtles. He did the Voltron, not Voltron, but Power Rangers and Godzilla. He done the TMNT and Power Rangers stuff. Like that's kind of his shtick. He's done other things, but that's kind of what he's known for. He was actually in Memphis last year. I've been really tempted to pick up a piece of art from him. I wanted to get some. So the TMNT Batman crossover that they did, some of the pages were actually pen and inked on the same page with him and Kevin Eastman. They both did the pages, and so that is a page. That's a kind of page I want to get with that. So, but I've been resisting temptation, been spending money elsewhere. So Who Dat says Platt came to Dallas, was there like one day. Yeah, I seen him. And then he was at Dallas and hit all the other ones too. So, Larry Houston is who was head up of the X-Men animated series. I've got it's a Hulk 6, I think, of the Donny Cates run, but it's a homage to Hulk 181, which I typically collect homages for, and that he drew, and I'm going to get him to sign that. If he has the book, the making of the animated series, I might pick that up too. I've seen that out before, so maybe he'll have one at his table. I'll pick that up. Bill Morrison, known for Futurama, Simpsons, the drawing of the video cover for Little Mermaid, and according to him, there was no shenanigans behind that tower. If you know, you know. So according to him, I've heard him tell the story that there's nothing to it. So Mark Guggenheim, who is a writer, I've got some Star Wars books that I'm going to get him to sign. I plan to get him to sign those lightsaber variant covers that he wrote. That I've also got Chris Sprouse, which was the cover artist, to sign already. A couple other things for him. But then Jeremy Adams, another writer. So the Green Lantern foils, they did a foil for each one of the lanterns, Sapphire, Star Sapphire, the Blue Lantern, so on and so forth. I'm going to get him to sign all of those. Brett Bean, I Hate Fairyland. Thought that was Scotty Young, but maybe he helps with that. Chris Campana, that done a couple of different things to include, I guess, more recently, Spider-Man Blood Hunt is going to be there. Mike DiCarlo is going to be there. We were talking about this on Mike the Six Slayers channel Sunday, but he is or was that Monday? Whatever. Yeah, it was Monday. But he is probably one of the inkers like nobody thinks about. Like, dadgum, you've really inked some big stuff. I think Scott Hanna probably, or maybe Klaus Janson, some of those guys probably inked the most pages out there and are still inking today. But Mike DiCarlo, I mean, The Death in the Family, one of the better known ones, but he's done a bunch of stuff. So I've got a couple of things for him to sign. I don't know if I want to get the Batman, the Todd McFarlane cover signed, because if I do, I've never met Todd, which then I'm going to feel obligated to get that book signed by him too. Starlin's pretty easy to get. I want something that I can get multiple signatures on. I've got some art pieces that he done that I'm going to get him to sign there. Ariel Diaz, a Texas native, will be there. She's really starting to hit a stride with a bunch of covers. I've got a couple of sketches and stuff by her. Her art's really not my thing. It's just me personally, nothing against her. Real nice lady. But it's more like the art germ, girly, cover girl stuff is just not my shtick. Guy Gilchrist, Jim Henson's artist, always, man, this guy, there's no telling how many cons this guy does in a year. Like he's at every single one of them. Brianna Garcia, My Little Pony. I'm not a brony, so I don't know about this one. Gavin Guidry, another Louisiana native who did the Wolverine versus Predator, at least some of it. And then also the Superman 78 will be there. Scott Hanna, famed inker. I mean, what has Scott Hanna not inked? And it seems like he's, at least the cons that I've been going to, seems to be like he's been hitting a lot more of them lately. So I don't know if there's kind of a lull in his schedule and he's been able to fit some more in. But I mean, inking legend, obviously. Ink, like I said, John Romita Jr., more notably, but a lot of people. Derek Hunter, a pretty violent Walking Dead, small bites. Not sure about them. Nick letting him out of the basement. Right? Yeah. Yeah, it's like that sometimes. Travis Heimel drew some of the TMNT Saturday Morning Adventure stuff. Terry Kavanaugh, a writer and editor, that shows this Stephen Platt Moon Knight cover. So I think he wrote that. So if you want double signatures, you can get got that book. You can get Platt and Kavanaugh to write it. Really nice guy. Met him last year before last, and we had a good talk. There was a couple of old comics that he brings, like if you don't have nothing for him to sign. And he gave one of the comics to my youngest son. And we were just talking about kids and comics and stuff. Had a real nice conversation. Tony Cordos shows G.I. Joe. So I think it must be the interior cover because that's Andy Kubert cover. The interior art, rather, because that's Andy Kubert cover. Greg Land, Mr. Copycat the Ladies. He's some people's thing, not mine. But he is drawn a lot of stuff, and he will be there. Anthony Marquez from the Kubert School. Aaron Reynolds. I've seen this birds thing at several of them. Don Rosa. So if you are a Donald Duck fan, Carl Barks is out of your wheelhouse as far as budget goes. Don Rosa is probably the next best thing. Mark Russell from Batman the Dark Age, Sahad Shah, cover artist, shows the Last Ronin deal. Stephanie Williams, I think she is the writer. She might be an artist. I was thinking she was a writer. She did the Nubia stuff. Yeah, writing comics, yeah. So I was thinking she was the writer on that stuff. So she does a lot of female-led things, Wonder Woman, Nubia. Ron Wilson, he gets around to a lot of stuff, probably better known for his work on the Thing run back in the day, but he's done a lot of stuff over the years. He will be there. Author Sudiam, best known for his zombie stuff, is going to be there. Both these guys I've met at multiple cons, got them to sign stuff, got Ron Wilson to do me a Hulk sketch. So not really going after anything with them. Also appearing. How you like to be on the also appearing? It's like, oh yeah, these guys too. Scott Bearderstrat, Troll Lords, Bobby Bree, Jeff Brennan. If anybody in the chat is aware of some big stuff that they've done, I'm not saying it, feel free. Derek Donovan says DC comic artist, but I'm not familiar. Says creator of Trigger Mortis. Not ringing any bells, but that looks like Green Arrow. Sonic the Hedgehog, Gigi Dutra, maybe. Aaron Laffer, Mustafa Mosa, He gets around to a lot of them. I mentioned Renee earlier. If you see, she used to be with Beatty, maybe she still is, but and then Mike Zeck, of course, Mike Zeck's moved out of the States now, doesn't really do cons anymore, but you would always see him with them, but he's with Michael Golden. Anthony Figaro, God's Hand, not familiar with that. Casey Parsons, I've seen a couple of things with Casey. Of course, Darkwing Duck is showing here, assuming that's Casey's stuff. Says Ice Cream Man, Department of Truth. Okay. Seems to be, must be a cover artist. Javon Stokes, don't know them. Yeah, this guy, Joe Wass, he did the little tuna guy, among some other things. Robbie Musso is a local guy. So he will be there. Sam Noir, Sammy Francis, don't know anything. Tim is again a local guy. I've got a couple of different art pages from Tim, and Vernon Smith, another Louisiana native, I believe. So it looks like Brandon Easton Cancel. Not familiar with him. So, again, it's not that, I mean, these are no slouches. I mean, you talk about DeCarlo. I mean, Larry Houston, he's not at everything. And so that's one I'm excited to see. Mr. Gerard's, Stephen Platt. These are bigger names, not ones that I'm necessarily going after but in fairness, I've already got stuff from them. So, that's the only reason I'm not going after them. Who dat? If Russell, if you're still in the chat, let me know if there's anything I'm missing. I'm assuming maybe that you were going to do a show similar to this at some point prior to the show. Going to see Greg Land. Gotcha. Yeah, Greg has generally, him and his wife, he has like a ton load of art pages, like you just sift through. Scott Hanna, his art rep, he's got an art rep that handles his. Greg handles his directly. So anyway, but yeah, January the 10th and the 12th. So coming up just a week from this Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. We will be down there in the Big Easy. Hopefully they can get everything back under control after the unfortunate events of last night, this morning. Yeah, it is weak, especially on the comic side compared to previous years. So like I said earlier, I don't know if you were in the chat yet, but when I said earlier, it seemed like after COVID, I mean, they started picking up it looked like they were picking up some steam, and I really liked, the guest. And that's not necessarily their fault, because they're at the behest of people's schedules. And just like on the celebrities, they might have work schedules that cause them to have to cancel. These guys, they're like, hey, I got families too, got work schedules to do, deadlines. And which ones are you going to do? And if New Orleans mentioned a lot of more local people, so they're going to be there, so that kind of works out great for them too. But yeah, I mean, if they're going to go to MegaCon next month or Dallas, which is easy to fly in, which it should be easy to fly in New Orleans too, you're going to go where things are happening. Yeah. Diego, unfortunately, it appears that it was a terrorist attack. Obviously details to be forthcoming, but it appears that a guy got a truck and ran it down Bourbon Street and ran over some people. So, yeah, unfortunately. But yeah, so talking about cons going past Fan Expo. Yeah, it's crazy. Bomb was found. Wow. Yeah, I didn't know that part. And this is still breaking, and a lot of details before coming. All the news outlets, how they do. They're going to be one to be out there first and foremost. They might give some bad information or intel, and then, of course, as things arise, they find out more information, just like that bomb. I wasn't aware of that, but regardless of if those guys were doing things that I would or would not be being done at that time of night or the time of this morning, it gives no guy any reason to run a truck through there. So to my understanding, the dude is now dead. So you got his just rewards. Number one Marvel fan in the house said, drop by to give a like. So, yes, appreciate that. If you haven't already done so, everybody else, be sure to give the like on the video. Talking about the con season as it's about to spring off going into this new year, New Orleans Fan Expo will be the first con. 8 days or almost 9 days from now, we will be down there and then skip a week. And then I think it's a week. And then I'll be at OAX, assuming with number one Marvel fan. I believe that you are going to OAX as well. Yeah. So 3 weeks from today, I will be down there. The con, as it were, OAX is Saturday and Sunday, but I'm going down there with the family, going to Universal Studios and all that kind of good stuff while I'm down there too. So that'll be the next one. And then I'm hoping, we'll see how it works out. I'm hoping to make MegaCon because it has a bunch, and MegaCon is owned by Fan Expo too. But MegaCon has a slew load of talent. It's luckily because of the dating timing and stuff, it's not the week after OAX like it was last year, but buy and party. It's not like it was last year, but it's got a lot. Lee Bermejo, Matina is going to be there. Let's see what it says. Do you plan go ahead for cons you want to go to, like getting a few days off work? Yeah, I try to plan my work around my cons. I'm blessed in that regard. And so I normally try to plan my work around there. So that's why, the Southeast is generally my con territory. So I haven't made it all the way up to, say, New York or over to San Diego because I don't really have my work doesn't normally extend up that far. And so I can't really justify it if that makes sense. So, but otherwise, I try to plan that around there. But sometimes what happens is work, things come up that, adulting, has to take place. And if it's not one where you've built a lot of stuff already in it, like OAX as an example, it would take a lot for me not to make OAX because there was a lot of planning involved. Sketches I'm supposed to pick up there that I've already scheduled and paid for, and they're already done. The hotel, the family and all that kind of stuff. So, that's a little bit different. Normally, in my cons, I try to plan, but then I know, in the back of my mind, if it's not a big one, adulting takes place and priority. So it's one of those things. But thanks for asking the question. So hopefully, with 2 weeks, maybe I can make it. Orlando is kind of a stretch going back to the work mention of work, but Orlando is kind of a stretch, especially 2 weeks in a row. And then I know there's Heritage has a art thing in March. I've kind of tentatively planned to do that. I haven't bought my ticket to that yet, but I've kind of already started planning my work towards that end to be over on that side of the world. And I'll be actually in Shreveport, Louisiana, and then can maybe bebop over to Dallas for the day. So yeah, I mean, that's generally how I plan it. So, as far as cons go, that's kind of my plans for at least the first 3 months. There's, I'm sure, a couple of other ones that pop up. Heroes Con is one of those that I really want to plan towards because it's just such a great one. Baltimore was fantastic. And actually, so Dallas Fan Expo in June, I guess it's still in June. last year, because of timing, it was pretty atrocious because um, they were back to back. So like I came in and I left right back out for Heroes Con after I got back from Dallas, and so glad that they kind of spread it out. Both cons actually moved their dates, and so there's 3 weeks in between them. So that's a way more manageable as far as your adulting life, work, all that other kind of stuff. Not to mention the budget, because now Fan Expo New Orleans is probably not going to be too rough on me. But when you talk about OAX, when you talk about MegaCon, if I make that one, about someone that you're starting to drop some coin at, because some of these, and this is one of the goals for this year, which was a goal for last year. Last year, if you recall, I made a video and said, hey, my goal for next year is to focus on bigger pieces instead of a whole bunch of smaller ones. The problem was a lot of the bigger ones came out of the woodwork, and I was able to scoop those up, but I didn't tell no to the smaller ones. So I'm hoping and I feel like I'm getting better, at least right now, of telling no to the smaller ones in preparation for the big ones. Because there's been a lot of them come up as late, which I imagine the market's driving that. People start seeing, certain pages by certain artists or characters go for money. They start going, yeah, let me dust that old art page off and send that into Heritage and see what I can get for it. So it's kind of bringing some stuff out of the woodwork. I'm hoping to be a little more focused next year. We'll see how that goes. I'm not giving myself high hopes, but that's what we'll work with. So, yes. So that's basically what I do. Like when I, like Dallas as an example. So I generally go to Dallas every year, and Dallas Fan Expo actually has a second. They don't call it Fan Expo; they call it something else. And I've been to that on occasion too. But it's a smaller show, but if the timing for the first one doesn't work. So I'll plan to go over there, like say Wednesday. So I kind of make my way over there Wednesday. So Wednesday afternoon, maybe I make it to the shop. I always go to Titan Comics when I'm over that way, at least the one comic shop I go to, and then that Thursday kind of open to meet, work, stuff. So again, that Thursday night, or then that Friday morning when the show opens, or Friday morning, I'll make a run to maybe Duncanville Comics, and before the show opens that Friday afternoon. So I'm already there. And normally try to get a hotel that's closer to the venue. They're connected great, but they don't have to be. It's just ideal. Just the whole part of the experience, right? Yes, Jewish Dragons in the house. Jewish Dragons, are you going to be at OAX in a few weeks? Let inquiring minds know. Yes, hopefully everybody had a great holiday season. Again, thoughts and prayers out to the folks down in New Orleans as dealing with this obvious or apparent, rather, terrorist attack and the repercussions and the fallout from that. Hopefully that doesn't spook any of our attendees that we mentioned previously with Fan Expo New Orleans. Hopefully they will still come. I know that one year after COVID would kind of started dying down, a new variation of COVID happened like right before, like the day or 2 days before Fan Expo. And Alan Davis, Arthur Adams, like there seems like there was one other one that I was like really hip on meeting, and they said nope. Like, oh, great. So it is what it is with that. So I do appreciate everybody for stopping by, hanging out with us. Whether you're watching me on Rumble or whether you're watching me on YouTube, I hope that if you like eclectic comic and comic book art collecting, That's how I would describe my stuff. And some madness surrounding it. Feel free to hit that subscribe button. It doesn't cost you anything. Hit the like button because it'll make you feel warm and fuzzy inside. Maybe it'll help you beat the underbidder and not be the underbidder for your next heritage auction. But also, we do want to appreciate you, or we do appreciate you, and want to show that appreciation by offering this discount. If you're in need of collecting supplies, visit bcwsupplies.com. Use the coupon code SCG to save yourself some change that you can put towards your next art or comic book purchase by using the code SCG. Save yourself 10% on your order. That link is in the description below. Jewish Dragon says, planning on being at OEGS the whole weekend. Hope to say hi in person. Yeah, for sure. I actually will, as I said earlier, I'll be down there. Am I leaving Thursday? Yeah, I think I'm leaving Thursday. Or I'm leaving Wednesday or Thursday. I'm leaving Wednesday or Thursday. I'm going to drive down there with the family, and we're going to go to, we're going to take a day and go to Universal Studios. And while I'm down there. And so it works out great for us. So appreciate everybody for hanging out with us. And so until next time, keep reading and keep collecting. Adios.
Hey, Dad, Brain, what do you want to do tonight? Oh, wait, I know. We're going to watch Southern Comic Geek. All of us. Nerve. Oh, and don't forget it's Raphael and